it might be hard to see the benefit of not winning in such a case. There is a benefit. It strengthened my understanding of my own values.
Magnificence is the boundless expanse of being, a liberation from limitation. It is the embodiment of authenticity, where you shed the shackles of self-doubt, shame, and imposter syndrome. Here, worthiness flourishes like a vibrant garden where you have the power to determine your actions, destinations, and your closest relationships. In the realm of magnificence, creative individuality takes center stage. Your greatness is acknowledged, celebrated, and nurtured. Gone are the days of mindless conformity or fitting in just to keep the peace. This show and your host, Patricia Lindner, are here to guide you as you align with your authentic design, leading the way to a life of purpose and fulfillment. Magnificence is not some unreachable peak or distant dream. It's inside you, waiting to shine brighter than you ever thought possible. Welcome to your magnificence.
Hello and welcome to another episode of Magnificence, the empowerment podcast that strikes a match and shines the light on your magnificence and on the magnificence of my amazing guest. And today I have with me the amazing Regina Huber. She is really an amazing guest, and I was looking forward to interviewing her and to having her on the show. Hello and welcome to the show, Regina.
Patricia, I am so delighted to be here. And as you said, you shine a light on people. So I have a light here today, because I'm a little bit in an interim situation today. I had somebody change their date to install my hardwood floor. And it's today all of a sudden. So we improvise, we are adaptable, and it's all going to be fine. But it's just not, the perfect lighting.
So, but who wants perfect?
Exactly.
Happen in life. And so I'm so happy that you are here. And first of all, I would love to introduce you to the audience in a brief introduction, and then you add whatever you feel you want to add.
Sure.
Regina is the CEO of Transform Your Performance, and she drives bold, value-driven, and heart-centered leadership of self and others. Her eclectic experience on 5 continents started in Germany and includes leadership positions at BCG, as well as ownership of businesses in Argentina, Brazil, and the US. This experience shaped her into a multicultural transformational leadership coach, international inspirational speaker, and author of Speak Up, Stand Out, and Shine. She also co-authored 3 other books and wrote numerous articles for magazines in the US and Africa, where she has been featured by multiple media outlets. She is an avid, passionate dancer, and there is so much more to Regina. And so I can't wait to really dive into the depths of who she is and what she does. Welcome again to the show.
Thank you so much. And welcome to everybody watching and listening. We are very happy to have you with us.
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. And as I said, we shine the light on her magnificence today. And as people who watch this show regularly know, I do this by looking into the human design chart of my guests. And I am so happy and glad that Regina is with me today, because she is a manifestor, one of the rare breeds of manifestors, because there are only 9% of the population that have this type. And that's why I want to dive into this type a little bit more, to really share what is a manifestor all about, and then have Regina add what she feels and what she acts out as a manifestor. So manifestors are really a unique type, and they are here to initiate action. So they are the initiators. Manifestors have the energy and the drive to start new projects and to bring change into our world. They are here to bring new ideas, and they are here to transform the world with their magnificent ideas. They are the ones to get things started. So that is great. You are a manifestor, and I think that resonates a lot with you. Just thinking of your biography, living on different continents, having different businesses, writing different books. You initiated a lot so far, did you?
Yes, and that also comes with a challenge of finishing things. And we're not actually always supposed to finish our projects. We sometimes are supposed to pass them on to somebody, maybe start a business and sell it, which, hasn't been my case so far, but it's certainly the case of other manifestors. And also maybe, start a project and then delegate it to somebody else. We're not supposed to do every single detail or execute every single detail of a project. That can sometimes be challenging because we need to trust other people that they execute in the same way. And manifestors also come with a little bit of impatience sometimes. While I show a lot of patience when I work with my clients, I believe I do that because I listen to them. I love supporting them, and it doesn't really feel challenging or like an effort in that situation. But there are other situations where it does feel a little bit more like an effort to bring that patience. And sometimes we just want to do everything in our tempo, in our rhythm, at the time we want to do it. And that doesn't, of course, always work that way in the real world, So that requires patience. And also one challenge I think that manifestors often have is that people don't always get them.
Yeah,
we have ideas.
They're too fast. They need to inform others because people don't get what they do, and they start this and that and this and that, and people don't get it.
So and also I have found, I know a lot of people say this, and then they're probably right, that I feel, a lot of people feel different, and they should feel different because we are all different for a reason. We all have our unique brilliance, our unique genius that we bring to this world. But it is sometimes a bit more so for manifestors because they can feel like outsiders because their ideas are not always adopted right away, and they can't always see why that is. Frankly, we have this idea, we have this thought, this whatever it is, and it's not always. The world around us is not always receptive for it right away. So yes, we have to inform, as you said, and that's not an easy thing for us to do because we want to go. We want to execute already. We want to do it now, and that also I think is reflected in some other personality tests that I did, like the color Q test, for example. I'm a red-green. The green is also about taking action. So yes, I'm actually wearing a green. So I don't
totally aligning. So it is as if you were reading my mind because I jotted down a couple of notes because I know that you are this accomplished entrepreneur, this leader in your field. And so I wrote down, what does this mean business-wise? So sometimes I really have to take a couple of notes. And so this is so in tune with what you said. You said something around, so it is just along the lines that you need to have a team to support you because you can't do it all by yourself. You would burn out. You have such amazing ideas that you initiate, and then a must-have for a manifestor is an effective, supportive team in the background so that you can execute all your great ideas. Then you talked about the go-getter spirit, and I wrote down, embrace the go-getter spirit, yet always inform others. Even in your marketing, And so you totally do that as you read my mind. Then I wrote down awaken your inner power as a gateway to more impact, to even more impact. And I can really picture you standing on all the stages of the world, really sharing your expertise and power and infusing people with what you know and what you have to give, not just get, but give. And then work smarter, not harder, to leverage your undefined sacral center. That's why you need the team as well. Mm-hmm. And so I don't know if this resonates with you, Regina.
Absolutely, absolutely. And I talk a lot about accessing and tapping into our inner power as well, especially also when it comes to leadership presence, executive presence, business presence, depending on what it is for everybody. We need to access this inner power. I always like to say, no one can empower you but yourself. Yeah. You need to know how to access the power that's already in you. And that's what empowerment actually is all about. We can only guide others to empower themselves. And we cannot empower other people. That would be very arrogant, in my view, because it would mean that we place power into them that they already have.
Yeah. Yeah.
We cannot do that. I always like to pick words apart. I like to really question the words we use sometimes because I love languages. I've learned a few other languages, as I've been moving along in my life. And so I'd like to see what's the idea behind a certain way of expressing ourselves, right? The different languages have different cultural backgrounds, which shapes them. And apart from all the artificial influences we have in our languages that are meant to mind control us, which you might know of, but that's a different topic for another day. So, every language has those peculiarities, and it's very, very interesting to dissect that. And that's why I probably always look at words and say, hey, this word doesn't make any sense. Words like time management or work-life balance, I never use because they don't make sense to me. And I try to, use different words for those. Now, also, you said something about energy, I think, and power, transmitting or conveying, not transmitting really, but, conveying energy. Well, I think according to human design, which I've studied a little bit of too, not as much as you, Patricia, I know you're much more advanced and much more savvy in human design than I am. But what I've seen, for example, as it pertains to my leadership style, is that I automatically transmit some of my leadership through my energy. So it's no wonder that I talk so much about optimizing our energy in my work. I hadn't really known this for the longest time, but I thought it was a nice parallel. And one of the reasons probably why I have been inspired to bring the element of energy into my teachings and into my coaching in a way that makes practical sense to people. Yes, that's very important. So once they do those exercises, they see the effect and they see the benefits of it, and they also find a way of understanding why it's even important in business. Because our energy, of course, flows into everything we think, everything we do, everything we say, right?
Yep. Absolutely, and it is high time that everyone, all the people out there, just get it, that it's all about energy and that the material plane wouldn't exist without the energetic background. And so you are my woman. Everything you said so much resonates with what I feel and sense and think. And I feel now is a great time to really share your chart and talk about the details or some of the details. We can't dive into all of the details.
No, but this is exciting. I always hear something new when I hear it from an expert.
And so just for today, I thought that I want to look at your chart, your Manifestor chart. And one can see here is the open sacral. So that is undefined. That is why Regina needs the team. to leverage this so that she doesn't burn out. But she has so many interesting aspects in the chart. And I thought about one thing. So when I prepared this, I thought about equality and equality. So I love equality. And I thought about people reading, hearing about human design, and then maybe taking on the idea that open centers are not as good as defined centers. And so I love your chart to take this as an example, that there is magnificence in your defined centers and that there is magnificence in the openness. And so I wanted to go that route today, to start with your definedness, which is colored centers connected through channels. I always want to explain a little bit what I talk about. And what stood out, as I have this autistic brain, what stood out, I looked at your chart and I focused on this part, the throat, the will center, and the emotions. And it looked like a cascade. And so as your emotional authority, which is in this brown triangle, which is the emotional solar plexus, I thought about it's like a reversed cascade that I want to talk about. So starting from your emotional center, your emotional waves that have up and downs, walking up to and through the will center up to your manifestation center, the throat. And looking at this definedness, what is it that Regina owns? What is it that describes Regina? And what is the magnificence in this part? And if you want me to explain that, I'm happy to do that.
Yes, please do. This is exciting that you see that, because I had never thought about it that way.
Yeah, so this is my weird autistic brain, which is not non-linear thinker brain, I think. And so I first of all dove into the channel 3740, which connects your emotional center to the will center. And this is the channel of community, which is really interesting. And we can later on talk about what I share right now with you and with the audience, and what you can make out of that. It is finding the right allies to bond with. This does not mean you need to get out there and trying to figure out who is my community, who are my people, who do I bond with, where do I fit in, because this is sometimes what this channel is driven to do. It is wait and see which people or communities invite you in. And then for your business, you need to become friends with people you do business with, either as clients or as collaborators, because but more as clients. And I will tell in a minute why I say this. So you need to become friends with people that you do business in any shape, way, or form. And the most important part is it is even better to know them physically. And I thought about you as a speaker, so this is the best thing for you, to really have people in your realm that you can connect to physically. And so this is the first big insight. Find communities, find people, find your tribe to connect with and to become friends with, so that you can easily do business with them and that they like, know, and trust you. And I want to stop here and maybe stop the screen share to talk about this, and then I want to continue the reversed cascade.
Yes, let's do it. Yes, so you struck a chord here for sure, because you know what I really love is the in-person speaking. right? So I used to do that much more before 2020. We know what happened then. And a lot of my engagements for that year, it was probably the year I had lined up more engagements than ever for in-person speaking in several different places, right? In several different African countries, just signed a contract with in Nigeria. And you know, there was a lot in the works on the African continent. I was going to go back. I just had come back from East Africa. I was going to go back to Rwanda to speak at the convention center at that time. I was going to go to London, to Hawaii, to, you know, Kansas City, to my very first canceled event was actually on March 9th in New York City, right? So that was a sad moment for me, I have to admit, because I had worked, first of all, very hard to line all these engagements up. As you know, it takes time. And on the other hand, also just because it was going away as an opportunity to connect with people in person, right? And frankly, I love working with my clients online for coaching. It also keeps me mobile. It allows me to work with clients in different locations, which otherwise wouldn't be possible. And it also allows me to keep my rates at an affordable level, because if I have to travel everywhere and to see my clients, and of course that goes into the pricing as well, right? So there are important reasons for that, and I've always loved doing the online coaching. But for the speaking part, even though I love doing online company events too, when, for example, I did one in July where we had people from several different locations. Yes, because we wouldn't otherwise reach them. I'm doing a different one now and our new one in December, such an event. I always want to do those too, but I want to come back to doing or go back to doing more of the in-person speaking. So now there has a lot been happening in my life as well, in my personal life in the past few years. I've moved around a lot. A lot of the networking events, in-person events, went away. And I used to go in New York. I used to attend networking events like at least 3 days a week because there were so many all the time. The other 3 nights I would go to my dance classes, right? But so it was something that I deeply, deeply enjoyed. And I'm definitely working on bringing more of this back again. Some of it, does depend on external circumstances, because if there are fewer events, then there are fewer opportunities, right? And plus, right now, I'm actually in France, so I'm between New York and France, which doesn't make it exactly easier, but there are good reasons for this. And yes, I'm definitely going to work on this a bit more again and more intensely, because it's so, so important, not just for myself, but for the impact I can create. I always have felt that I could connect, not just on a personal level, but also connect my ideas more with my audience in person.
Makes a lot of sense. And you as the initiator, I could really think of you creating some maybe speaking opportunities yourself, maybe you coming up with great, brilliant ideas. Mm-hmm. And what I just listening to you and looking at you, you have this air of exclusivity. There is luxury, something like that. So I don't know if this is just my personal point of view, but this is what you radiate. And I could really think of you meeting a client that would love to have you in person in an exclusive setting. So I could think of that, but maybe that's just something that moved through my head.
Yeah, so we, even in 2020, there were a few events like where I was invited to be the only or the main speaker. I also for this year, it hasn't come through. It might come through still next year, just because of, again, some external circumstances that happened in that location. It was in an African country, right? But where I would have been, or I will be still, I should say, the main instructor for 2 days, whatnot. So that is, it has happened, but yes, you're right. I also even did my own events in the past, very much at the beginning of this business to also get some practice and offer networking opportunities for other people. I did not do it perfectly, for sure. I didn't always do it in a way. I didn't know how to do it in a way that it really would favor my business more, frankly, at that stage. But yes, one idea that I've certainly also had is to potentially put on retreats. I would very much love to do that. And yes, as you said, smaller groups and more exclusive retreats. I don't mean to exclude anybody, but, to just make it more intimate so that people can get the most out of them.
Yeah. And they'd benefit from you personally when so I just recommend offering that. That was coming through when I listened to you. And you said I was the main speaker, the main practitioner, and this is so necessary because looking at your chart again, we are
really dark here now. Sorry to interrupt, but it's the sun, whatnot. It's hard to control here, so I think it's still good.
Good point to share the screen, so the focus is on your human design chart. So we stopped here, and this is the will power, the will center, and I wanted to focus on the channel that moves from the will center up through to the throat, to your manifestation center, so to speak. And this is, interestingly, this is called the money line. It's a very, very, very powerful channel. And so I made that up. It is the channel for the self-made millionaire, and for the one-woman show. And I had you on my mind when I came up with this. It is the channel that allows you to make money through the power of your will and through doing it alone, doing it the way you want to do it, because you're uncomfortable with other people controlling you. And so this is an invitation again. So you have your people that you connect with, that you are friends with, and then just the part of making money and really manifesting your ideas is a one-woman show in your chart. And that does not mean that you are not compatible with other people, not at all. And I could really imagine co-creating with you or other people co-creating with you, but you thrive when you are in the limelight, when it is you who is the main speaker, the leading part of the show, or even the one-woman show. And now, sun didn't come back.
No, it didn't go back. I can actually try and open it up a bit more if you want.
No, it is fine.
It is fine. Yes. So as we said, we are adaptable. We're not perfect. We're not here to be perfect. We do our best usually with the lighting and everything. I'm not recommending not to do your best with the lighting. That would be stupid, right? But there are certain circumstances. I did definitely not want to cancel this today at last minute. So yes, I thought it was more important to respect your calendar.
Thank you. Thank you. So the one-woman show, that was the last, and the self-made millionaire. Does this resonate with you, Regina?
Well, yes. So I guess it's a really nice image to have in mind, and yes, I do like to do things my way. That is definitely true. I love to co-create. I'm a big fan of it. But not everybody has the same role in a co-creation, right? We are all different. We all have different human designs, not just human design types, but also very specific human designs, because we are designed to have certain roles in certain situations. And I've shared the stage with other people. I love to be on a panel, but I do know that I can shine better if I am the one that's there by herself. And I've seen this so often, even also in shared podcasts, in when you, for example, get invited with 2 other guests or 1 other guest. Yeah. I have always felt like I can shine better when I'm the only guest. And I love to do it with other guests too. It's not that I don't, but it's just what it is. And we observe ourselves over time and we ask questions about why that is. Maybe also it's because some people have a really, really easy time to just grab the word when they want it. And although I'm a manifestor and an initiator in that sense, I'm not always the one who has the easiest time doing that, because I want to be also very respectful. And that can, although I do teach my clients and coach them to speak up in meetings, to be heard, to be seen, I actually get their challenges a lot. That's why I'm coming up with a lot of different ways to address those challenges for them, because I have been there too. But And while I know how to manage this now on such a podcast or such a, a panel situation, it just feels more like an effort, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
I don't know if it makes sense to you.
Absolutely. I totally get it. And I always love this part when I'm listening to you and I think of your chart and I said it's the reversed cascade. And then I thought and what does this mean now? So for me, and tell me if this is true for you, I think of those cascades. So maybe there is something in the place where you live right now, so southern places, and water runs down in this smooth way. And we talked about the reversed cascade of entrepreneurship in your chart. And this is all just from my perspective. So this is what just comes through to me. You are the one who swims against the stream. You are the one who flows up the stream in this reversed cascade to shine her light and to do this oftentimes alone. And this is nothing to judge yourself or to say, oh, I should do it with others. No, this is your design. And I think this is what human design can do to people and for people, really validate their unique energetic blueprint. And so this is you, and this is magnificent the way it is.
This is very spot on. So this is probably also why I said earlier, sometimes it can feel a little bit like an outsider, because I grew up that way, right? I knew that certain things did not make sense to me, like in religions, for example, right? And I grew up in this environment, and I was the only one to be so adamant about it, to really speak up about it, Maybe some of my siblings might have felt some of the same things, but it wasn't as important. To me, it was very important to express myself and to not participate in something that I could not identify with or that I could not resonate with, and that, had so many unanswered questions that nobody would ever be able to answer. And I know questions are, questions are great. We constantly question. That's how we gain more knowledge, more wisdom. However, there were some question marks that just could not receive any meaningful answer ever. And this is just one example, but I do believe that I have always been a little bit of a rebel. And it's probably also why, I speak up when the mainstream doesn't make sense. I can't avoid it. It's who I am. People sometimes say, oh, you shouldn't say these things. Maybe publicly it harms your business. Well, yes, it's probably already cost me money. I admit that. I'm even cautious, but I cannot shut up about everything. That's impossible, because that would negate my integrity. And integrity is one of my core values. And I stood up for integrity against corruption several times in my life, very actively, in many different ways. It also cost me money then. And at some point it might have, just cost me my entire investor's visa in Brazil, for example. I have all sorts of stories about this. I won a lawsuit gladly against the city of Buenos Aires at one point when, I was standing up against corruption, and gladly I encountered a judge that what she heard, when she heard something about corruption, he was on my side, but it could have gone the other way, right?
Wow.
Thing is, nobody probably ever did that before. And so, it never changed. So if we want to create change, we sometimes have to dare be the first.
And especially you as the initiator. And I love that you so honestly and frankly share about things that didn't go so well, but in the end turned out well, or where you struggled. I love that you share so openly. And
we all have those struggles.
Yes.
We all use those, those learning opportunities for growth. Sometimes they're painful, but even though it might be hard to see the benefit of not winning in such a case, it's still, there is a benefit because it strengthened my understanding of my own values. I think that's one of the benefits.
Beautiful. And you talked about questions. Questions are so important. And I said, I want to talk about the Magnificence just on some examples, because we can't dive into everything. And I talked about the defined centers and your Magnificence, swimming against the stream, the cascade reversed. And then I want to talk about the openness. And these are the white spots in the chart. And oftentimes they are said to be the weak spots. It is true. The openness invites in manipulation and conditioning and so on. And that is why oftentimes people feel, I have to really be careful. Yes, be careful, but there is so much magnificence in those open centers. And I want to talk about 2 open centers as an example of your Magnificence, Regina. And you said asking questions. So I want to focus on the head center, which is the center on top of the chart. It stands for inspiration. And the flip side of the coin, when you think of the shadow, is always figuring out questions and having a lot of question marks that stay unanswered. And this could drive someone crazy. Then it is high time to lean into your strategy, which is going down into your emotional center, your emotional authority, and tune into your emotions. Feel what you feel and decide only when you are clear in your emotions. So this is because the thinking mind always decides as the not self, as the oftentimes shadow of who we are. And so oftentimes people, and lots of people have open head centers. I don't know the exact number, but it is around about 68% have open head centers. That means when you, Regina, are aware of your openness and your strategy of tuning into your emotions, when you healed all the false narrative, the conditioning, the manipulation on your head center, then this is such an amazing, I'd even say profit center, because you can sell inspiration, because you totally understand it, you get it. Someone with an open head center can sell inspiration. You can assist guide and inspire those who have those endless questions in their heads. And you help them get rid of doubt. You help them let go of overextension. And I just want to have an example here. This is gate 63. You can help them when thinking of hierarchies and of leadership positions. You can help them stay on top and let go of their doubts, because you have it all with the openness, and you easily can draw in people that have those struggles because you know of those struggles. And I hope that makes sense.
True, that it doesn't make a lot of sense. And I have been called inspirational. So, which at the time, the first time also came as a surprise. We sometimes don't see everything in ourselves as well as other people do. And we need to learn to own it as well. And yes, I also do believe, though, that, the open head, a little bit, it also has to do with open-mindedness, right? Of course, I have gained additional open-mindedness through all my travels, because we open our horizons as we travel, as we move, as we actually live in different cultures, because one thing is go for a vacation. But also even the way I travel, I usually travel, very much by myself, which, first of all, by myself as in alone, meaning that I will need to meet people. I will need to talk to people, right? While I travel. And also in a way that, it's self-organized for the most part. So it's, so that's also where we bring in new ideas, where we have to open our minds to get additional understanding and let in additional ideas. Now, I do sometimes feel like an overload of ideas because, we all channel ideas. No idea is original. We know that. We want to make it original. We make it our own in a way, for sure, because we receive something and we do something unique with it, because we're all unique beings. However, no idea is, of course, 100% original, because it's all already living in the collective conscious or subconscious, right? But it's all consciousness in the end, and we are consciousness too. But this is very insightful also, because one big thing and very important aspect that human design taught me is how to make my decisions. I'm not supposed to make my decisions immediately and instinctively and impulsively, as I tend to do, because I want to get it done. I want to do it now. And I'm not supposed to make my decisions that way. And I've learned that that's why some of the decisions I made in the past were actually not right. And I regretted them the next day. And it's not a good situation, because I have this strong sense of integrity. I don't want to go back and say, hey, you know what, let's change this. That's not an easy thing for me to do.
So much feel you. I have the same authority, and I so much feel you. Just, I want to say yes to this. Yes. Spontaneously. I want to be spontaneous. And then after an hour, a day, it's like, what did I do? Why did I say yes to that? I don't even want to do that.
Right. And there's a difference between talking ourselves out of something that would actually be good for us. Sometimes prospects do that sometimes when we absolutely know it's a great fit, and they say, oh, I want to think about this, or talk it over with somebody who then talks them out of it. But they talk themselves out of this opportunity sometimes. That's absolutely true. And we do that too. However, there's an important distinction. Not everybody is meant to make their decisions in the same way as you well know, Patricia. Absolutely. We are here with two Bavarian girls. Say them there. So anyway, there's this difference, and it's a subtle difference where we need to decide, okay, is this really the right way to make decisions? I think that was one of the biggest things I learned from human design when I studied it instead of just receiving readings, which is always amazing.
Yeah.
Then said, oh, wow, this is very, very interesting. I'm actually supposed to wait with my decision to go through this emotional wave and then feel into it again. Yeah. And then if it still feels right, then it's the right way to go.
Yeah, and it might not be perfect. That could even take you days, months, years.
Yes.
That could,
for everyone it's take
long.
Yeah, absolutely. For me, it's usually to sleep over it. It's usually 24 hours. I found that, but still,
And so I feel forced to say, this is what I hate about sales conversations, when people force you to make the decision right now, because in 10 minutes the offer expires and is tripled in the price. Then it's a no for me, because I don't want to be pressured into a decision, because I know my human design. And that's why I totally understand when people say, I'm so interested in what you offer, but I need to sleep over it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, when you sleep on it. So it's really, I have learned that too. And as I said, for some people, it's the right thing to do. Like if they are very gut, driven, then they need to make that decision in that moment. But we hear all the time that leaders make decisions instantly. No, well, in leadership, you sometimes have to make decisions when it's uncomfortable and it's urgent, whatnot. However, there's a place for everything. And sometimes I'm actually ready to make that decision right away. And something resonates 100%. But sometimes, there's an element that I have to look at. Well, is there one specific aspect that is that really covered? It's blah, blah, blah. So it's again about asking more questions also for some people.
Definitely. I totally agree with what you say. So to come to a close with your chart, I want to focus on another open center, just as another example of magnificence in openness. So the open sacral center is said to be the not knowing when enough is enough issue. So when you look at kids with an open, and maybe this was in your case, something that you dealt with or your parents dealt with, not knowing when enough is enough. So not knowing when you are tired, not knowing. So it's like overdoing things. And when you really heal that, and you know your strategy, and you know your conditioning, and you know how to delegate things and stop and rest, because you need to rest, especially with the openness and with the willpower in your chart in the open root center, then the positive side, the magnificent side. So first of all, positive is to really look at yourself, look after yourself, and love yourself, so that you are allowed to take a break and rest and relax. The other thing is just talking business language. You can help people who need to quit, who need to stop something, because you know about the issue of not knowing when enough is enough. So you are very magnetic to people who want to quit or stop something. You can sell stopping or quitting, for example, a job or a habit or whatever. So this is something that you are really good at. That is your magnificent gift in the openness.
Interesting.
You didn't know about that?
Well, I know about the enough is enough aspect of it, and but just the latter part of what you said, I can help people quit. So I do help people also. I help people, my clients, get promotions, get raises, all the good stuff, improve their leadership skills, increase team engagement, really anything that's related to leadership. But it's also always about self-leadership. And that includes self-care, and it includes stress management.
Yeah.
That's why, I have created, for example, a priority management tool where you analyze your activities and you regroup them a little bit and find a better way how to shift the things on your plate around in terms of focusing on those that give you more visibility, for example, or that really give you that spotlight in your career, rather than taking on all those additional tasks without ever saying no and without setting boundaries, and then finding yourself with an overflowing plate and no time to eat, right?
So you that what you sell and what you offer is you help them stop taking on too much, stressing out. You help them exactly doing that. And this is, so just for marketing, it is amazing when you sell, stop doing that, quit doing that, and instead do this.
My phone just started doing something and I have no idea. I did on airplane mode.
Maybe this was the alarm to share with people how they can get in touch with you.
So yes, you can find me, of course, on my website, transformyourperformance.com. That's also my business name, Transform Your Performance. I have a LinkedIn profile, Regina Huber, where I also publish a weekly newsletter. It's called the Career Growth Strategies Newsletter. It also has leadership tips to lead yourself and others. And I have a YouTube channel at Regina Huber, and my book is on Amazon, Speak Up, Stand Out, and Shine. And yes, I do want to add a quick thing, because it was, before we went on this recording, Patricia, we talked about anger, right? And anger being my emotional, not self theme. And this morning I had a really, really cool experience that fits into this conversation, which I thought was funny, because somebody messed up my calendar a little bit this morning by just really, not sticking to a calendared schedule. And then I got angry because my entire flow of the day was interrupted. And it's this creative flow that we all have as manifestors, right? So I just wanted to quickly add that for all manifestors, if you get angry and because your flow is interrupted, maybe take it with a grain of salt or a little bit of humor, because otherwise it's going to be so frustrating. So I think that was just something that I wanted to bring to this conversation as well, because it happened before this morning. So that I believe there was a reason before this recording. So I believe there was a reason for that.
Thank you for sharing this little nugget. I was about to ask you, is there anything you could share with the audience? But this was such a beautiful piece of advice that especially manifestors, but who is not angry? Everyone who listens to this show can benefit from this. Just take it with humor. And I want to add, because the anger only turns out to harm ourselves, because it just manifests somewhere in the body or in the field. So maybe you just can act it out quickly and then breathe deeply, or do something, or take it with humor, as Regina said. Yeah. So great that we are so aligned in this conversation.
Yes, we could go for forever, probably. Okay, but we have to schedule another private chat as well.
Yes,
I would love that, and would look forward to that.
I want to say thank you for your honest and for your deep sharing about who you are, what you do, your golden nuggets that you brought to the table today. And I encourage everyone who is listening to reach out to Regina and maybe even book her as a private high-end speaker, because she is amazing. She is magnificent. Otherwise, she wouldn't be on my show. And so just thank you again. I am so honored that you are here with me today and that you had this great conversation with me.
Thank you so much for being such a great player. You played with me so well today. It was very insightful. I appreciate your sharing your insights. I've learned so much again about myself and both my challenges and my opportunities. I do appreciate that very much. I'm grateful for this time together. And I hope we also inspired other people through this conversation to potentially also get their reading with you, Patricia, And yes, and I promise if you do hire me to speak and it's online, I'm going to make sure to get the setting right. Thank you again, Patricia.
Thank you so much. And thank you for saying that, because it is really amazing to look at the challenges and turn them into stepping stones, just individual stepping stones. And that is the great pleasure of me doing readings for people. So everyone invited. If you want to know your human design chart, or if you want to be a podcast guest on this show, just reach out to me. Other than that, I say thank you for watching or listening to Magnificent, the empowerment podcast that shines a light on the magnificence of its guests. Bye for now.
Thank you for joining us for this empowering episode. To continue this journey of aligning with your true purpose and uncovering your magnificence, schedule an illumination call with Patricia at patricialindner.com. Please share this episode with someone who needs it, and subscribe to the show on YouTube and your favorite podcasting platform. Join us again soon for another episode of Magnificence.